Well, good morning, good morning. Good morning. Hear the sound of my voice coming through the internet or on your radio airwaves. You are listening to another edition of the Reading Circle with your host, Marc Medley. We come to you live each Saturday morning at this hour from 6 o'clock a.m. to 7 o'clock a.m. And then following that is the M&M hour, where we put on the good news and song, which is the gospel music. And then following that hour is Martha and Friends, where we continue with the good news and song, the gospel music. But in the first hour, we have our author interviews, and that is the Reading Circle, and that's where we are right now. So my guest is on the line. I am going to do what I customarily do in terms of our Saturday morning ritual and routine, if you will. That's give you the weather. I'm going to read from two books. I'm actually swapping one of the books out today. I'm going to read from a different one. Then I'll introduce my guest, and we will be underway somewhere, and I'm going to also give you the weather. So I tell you what, without further ado, I'm going to go ahead and give us the weather right now. And it has been mild, as I was sharing with the police as we walked into the building, for it to be this late in November. It has been mild. So right now it's 36.4 degrees. Feels like 36. Actually, it felt a little warmer than that as I was walking. Then we can expect sunshine to start, then a few afternoon clouds. We're moving to a high of 50. Cloudy with occasional showers tonight, moving to a low of 41. And then on Sunday, intervals of clouds and sunshine, high again near 50. Low of 30, a few clouds on Sunday night. Monday, mainly sunny sky, high of 43. Low of 27 is going to be clear on Monday night. Tuesday, plenty of sunshine coming our way, high of 46, low of 28. And then on Wednesday, rounding out our forecast, sunny skies, high of 49, low of 36. That is the weather brought to you right here from the WP 88.7 FM Weather Center. Well, you know, I always start off reading from two books. Usually I read from What Can Happen When We Pray and Until Today. And I am still going to read from Until Today, but I'm going to switch off the book, one that I just obtained over the last couple of days that would be perfect for what we do and kicking off the show as well. And it's perfect for the time that we're in of the year. The title of the book is The Power of Being Thankful, 365 Devotions for Discovering the Strength of Thanksgiving. And that's by Joyce Myers. And again, The Power of Being Thankful for today, November 21st. Boldly facing any new challenge. Day 45. Many are accustomed to convenience and usually don't do well with suffering of any type. It frightens us. Let's remember how David faced the giant Goliath and be joyful and thankful that we can defeat our enemies too. We can attack fear rather than letting it rule us. You are much more than your feelings. You are a powerful, wise, beloved child of God, and you can do whatever you need to do in life through Christ, who is your strength. Check out Philippians 4:13. Prayer of thanks. Thank you, Father, for the strength that I have because you are with me. No matter how difficult a challenge may seem, I will attack it with boldness because I know that nothing is impossible for you. That's from the book, The Power of Being Thankful, 365 Devotions for Discovering the Strength of Thanksgiving. From the book Until Today by Iyanla Vanzant for November the 21st, she says, the greatest service I can offer is acknowledging all that I am aware of in my life. Here are a few things you may want to explore and consider on your path of personal growth. 1. Know everything you can about you. Know what makes you tick. Know what makes you laugh. What makes you cry. Know what opens your heart. Know what happens when your heart is open. Share what you discover with as many people as possible. Know what life is all about. What is important in life. Know what is sacred and holy in life. Know what life is and what life is not. Know where life comes from and why. Know what makes you want to be alive. Share what you discover with as many people as possible. Know that you are essential. Know that you are valuable. Know that every experience is an important step toward helping you figure out your purpose. Share what you discover with as many people as possible. The more you learn about life, the more you learn about yourself, the more you learn about yourself, the greater is the purpose you serve in life. Some people live their entire lives never sharing what they discover about themselves or about life. Others never explore these questions and never experience what the answers can uncover. Don't be one of them. Until today, you may have been wondering how to go about developing a greater perspective of yourself and your life. Just for today, spend some time pondering and reflecting on these 3 simple points and sharing your discoveries with others. Today, I'm devoted to sharing my discoveries about self-discovery. That's from the book Until Today by Iyanla Vanzant. The time has come for me to introduce my guest. And I've been told, because see, last week, actually, I took a Saturday off. And in between that time, I'm told the technical difficulties we have with the telephone have been corrected. They've been fixed. So I'm waiting to see if that is indeed the case. And after I introduce my guest, if I hear her voice, then it is true. And if it's not, then we're going to have to quickly switch studios like I've had to do over the last couple of weeks. So I'm praying that that does not have to happen this morning, that indeed the phones have been fixed and my guest can hear me and I can hear her. My guest is Tifa Joy, native of Essex County, New Jersey. She was given the desire to write this book out of her obedience to God. She is the mother of a 5-year-old son. She gave her life to Christ in 1996 and has been working in ministry since 1998. She is a member and part of the ministerial staff of Bethel Church of Love and Praise, Covenant Kingdom Ministries International in Bloomfield, New Jersey. Tifa, good morning.
Good morning.
Ah, yes, Lord. For about maybe 2 months now, it might even be longer than that. My guests haven't been able to hear me when I said hello, and then I'd have to scramble. So the fact that you can hear me means it has been fixed. Praise the Lord.
Amen.
All right. Well, I tell you what, I am going to share some information with the listening audience. And then when we come back, we're going to start with our interview. So listening audience, you know the deal. We'll get on all of your social media sites. Let someone know that Tifa, that's Tifa, Joy, Joy, Will, Will, is on the air with me. We're going to be talking about her book, Love Misfit. So tell somebody to tune in. If they're in the northern New Jersey area and where I am, they can get us on the radio at WP 88.7 FM. And if they are anywhere else on the globe, if they have internet connectivity, it's just a matter of logging on to gobrave.org, making sure their speakers are on. And then when they get to the site, there's an orange listen button. Click that and they'll be able to hear the interview wherever they are in the world. So I'm going to share the information with you. While I'm doing that, you do what I've asked you to do, and we will be underway.
She saw things going. It wasn't a good environment to raise a kid. The fact that she did that just shows how strong of a woman my mother is, and I thank her each and every day for it. I wouldn't be the person who I am today, and I like the person I am today. I knew I was loved and I was part of a family, so that was what's important to me.
For more information, visit ichooseadoption.org.
I'm Christoph.
And I'm Christopher.
And our mom chose adoption.
We interrupted the Braveology show for an urgent announcement. Due to a major shipping error, we're giving you the best of college rock, classic rock, 80s, electro, and more. Sorry, we're fresh out of crunk music. Now back to your regularly scheduled Braveology.
Hey, parents of children with asthma, here's another hit from the Breathe Easies.
Don't smoke in the house. Don't smoke in the house. Don't smoke around the kids in the house. Don't smoke in the car. Don't smoke in the house. Don't break my heart with your secondhand smoke in the kids. It can trigger the asthma.
Preventing asthma attacks can be as simple as making your home and car smoke-free zones. For more Breathe Easy tips to help stop asthma attacks, go to noattacks.org, brought to you by the EPA and the Ad Council.
All right, we are back with you. We're going to resume. We didn't go anywhere, and I trust you didn't go anywhere, and that you've done what we asked you to do, and that's text somebody, tweet somebody, let somebody know that Tifa Joy Will is on the air with me right now on WP 88.7 FM and GoBrave.org. So Tifa, I tell you what, let's go all the way back to the beginning. Was English or writing or any of that your favorite subject whenever you were in school, or where did the whole writing come from? Did you write stories or poems or anything whenever you were a child in school?
Sometimes, but 5 years ago.
Okay, so since they were children or either in high school or in college, they were writing essays and they were writing short stories then, and they just kind of continue. And others have been just like you, where you know that the calling came upon them later in life, and some of them will even say, I don't even consider myself a writer. And I always
and writing a different book.
All right, so I tell you what, because I know on the back it says here, on the back of the book it says, Tifa Joy Will answered the task to do this project. She requested prayer from her family, friends, and church members. This is the end result. May you take the journey. So what happened, and kind of how did you come across sitting down saying, I'm going to write a book? Talk a little bit about why that happened. And I'll tell you why, because just as you consider yourself an aspiring author, I have folks who are listening who are aspiring authors as well. The only difference is they haven't gotten to the point where they actually have a book. They're still on the fence, teeter-tottering. And a lot of times whenever they hear the author's stories, that's enough to prompt them to say, hey, if Tifa can do it, I can do it too. So that's why I'm asking, how did this whole thing come about?
Well, I went through a very traumatic experience, and in prayer, I said to God, what steps? I have been journaling since 1997, but I didn't think of that as writing. And whenever there was something that happened that I just didn't know where to go and I didn't get an answer, I would journal.
Oh, I know that feeling. I did the same thing for years. Matter of fact, right now, I have probably 25 journals this full. And I haven't written now in the journal, as you say, in about 10 years. But I'm about ready to pick it back up, because you're exactly right in terms of when you don't have anybody else that you can tell other than God, the only other place to go is into a private journal. And I'm with you there. I've had that experience. Like I said, I have 25 that are locked away full of what was going on with me at that particular time. And like I said, I'm about ready to pick it up again for some things that's going on. So you were
No, I didn't really consider it writing. I just thought I was just pouring my heart out to God, another way of praying. And I was started with, Dear God, this is what's going on. Help me to understand. Help me to see the scripture. Help me to find the right path. And whenever that problem resolved, I would go back and put, it was resolved on this date. When I started it, it was the date and the time. And then when it was resolved, I would put the date and the time.
Oh, that's good. I like that. But maybe when I pick up journaling again, I might follow that same practice. So you actually, once the prayer was answered or the situation was resolved, you went back and kind of closed out.
Yes. To say, okay, I've conquered this mountain.
All right. I know that's right. You know what? I think I'm going to put that in practice. Interestingly enough, one of the teachers that work with me at the school that I'm in charge of, she gave me a journal last Christmas, and it's still empty. I haven't written anything in there. And as I said, there's some things going on in my life right now where I need to pick that journal up and start doing the same thing. And I like that practice of what you're saying in terms of once it's resolved, go back and kind of put the date it was resolved and how it was resolved, so forth and so on. So I'm going to keep that there. So is Love Misfit a result of the journal writings, or was the journal just a way that, now that you'd been doing it, it was practice, so writing now was not a stranger to you when it was time to write Love Misfit?
it was a practice. I had no idea that I was in practice mode. I actually got that information from Joyce Myers, so it was so ironic that you started with Joyce Myers. In one of her sermons that she's talking about that, what about me? She also says that how can you get something different when you keep doing the exact same thing? You
Absolutely.
have to put the plan into place so that you can reach that goal. So I have, put into my mind short-term, mid-term, and long-term goals, and they're always on my wall. They're always in my phone. They're always at my desk, so that as they are accomplished, they are highlighted out or scratched out with the date and time that it has happened.
So, somewhere along the way, you had a goal of writing a book.
No, I didn't.
The plot, interestingly enough, you said it was ironic that I opened with Joyce Myers, and no, it's not. Because that, once again, tells me there is a higher spirit, a higher authority who is all-knowing. Because I just bought that book this week, and I didn't even know it was her whenever I downloaded it, because I saw the cover on another, it was on Instagram or Instapray or one of the other apps, and the cover caught my eye, but the author's name, in Instagram, the picture sometimes is not big enough. So Joyce Myers' name was not on there, and when I went to Amazon and downloaded the book, that's whenever I saw it was by her. And I said, oh, this is by Joyce Myers. Okay. So the fact, and it came to me this morning to read from that one, especially since we're in the Thanksgiving season. So all that to say, it's all connected for you to now turn around and say it was something that you read from Joyce Meyer as well. So that's just another confirmation. That's affirmation and confirmation, if you will, that there is somebody beyond us.
Definitely.
So, Love Misfit. Let's talk a little bit about that. As a matter of fact, I'm going to share some more information with the listening audience, and when we come back, we'll talk a little bit about it. I want to know what was the title, where did it come from, what was going on there. So, audience, you know the deal again. I'm getting ready to share some more information with you, and while I'm doing that, I want you to multitask. I want you to get on all your sites, all your social media sites. Let somebody know that Tifa Joy Will is on the air with me, and we're talking about her book, Love Misfit. Shannon McClinney, if you're listening, big shout-outs to you. I know all week long you've been keeping me up on what's going on with Tifa and keeping Tifa up on what's going on with me. So I'm just making the assumption that you're up early listening to us this morning. And if not, you'll get a chance to listen to the recorded version. But again, big shout outs to Shannon and Joe McClinney if they are indeed listening this morning.
I'm tempted. I used to do it all the time. I stopped by locking it in my glove compartment.
My friend used to do it way too much. Now I turn it off when we're in the car.
My solution is simple. I just don't do it.
There are lots of ways to stop yourself and others from texting and driving. How will you stop? Tell us at stoptextstoprex.org. Brought to you by the National Highway Traffic Safety Administration and the Ad Council.
That's right. And, I always have to listen to that ad because I'm always tempted to text as well. Matter of fact, if I'm at the stoplight, I will have it there. And I always say the cell phone becomes like a remote control, because if you're ever sitting at a red light, or either if you don't want red lights, just want to send a text, you'll get all greens. It's the same way, like if you're running late, you're guaranteed to get all reds. Well, I'll tell you what, if you want to send a text, you'll get all green lights all the way down the street. But do not text while you're moving unless it's voice activated. And even with that, you need to make sure you're not distracted on the road. Right before we share that information with you, I told you the title of the book is Love Misfit. So Tifa, where did that title come from?
Well, it came from an experience.
In terms of the gist of the book, and don't give the end away, because I want folks to go out and order the book and to buy the book. But I see the characters are Carenza, I see Morgan, let's see what some of the other characters, Kyle. So what's going on? Tell us a little bit about what is Love Misfit all about. And this is a novel, correct?
This is a novel.
And it is a fiction, or is it a faction? Where it's a fiction based on true events. So in terms of what is the storyline? What is it all about?
Corinne said to see who she really is, you'll get to see that it's just love. All she is doing is expressing love.
like in terms of family relationships, or are we talking about romantic relationships? Are we talking about friendships, or all of the above? So Corinza's just full of love.
Yes.
And now I'm assuming, and again, because I haven't read the book, I've skimmed it. I generally don't get to read the book until after the interview is over, because I'm always in process of interviewing somebody, and I'm always in the process of reading anywhere from 15 to 25 books at one time. And so I generally don't get a chance to read or finish the book till after we've spoken on the air. So I'm making the assumption, because usually good novels are that way, I'm assuming all this love Corinza gets somehow finds some trouble somewhere.
Corinza can't stay away from trouble.
Oh, okay.
She can't stay away from trouble. It is.
Well, you know what? Truth be told, that's the way life is. I'm always amazed, because I had this conversation last night with my sister, and it's always amazing to me how you have folks, and I don't think they're naive, but they honestly think that struggle, strife, or arguments or disagreements that like it's not going to happen. As if life is supposed to be disagreement free, argument free, struggle free, so forth and so on. And they're almost like shocked when it happens.
Yes, exactly.
It's like people get angry. They do. And everyone doesn't just sit there like in this mellow state, and no matter what happens, they just sit there and they're happy and glad. That's not reality.
That is not reality.
That's not reality, folks. And you could have as little as two people. I mean, because we don't have to get into like the masses. But even if you have just two, at some point there's going to be disagreement. At some point. And so that's why whenever I'm sitting here, as you're looking and you're talking about relationships, I know somewhere, especially when you says Corinza is the one that's full of love. That's why I just made the assumption somewhere along the way, I know Corinza got into some kind of trouble because of being so caring. So when you now, because I said you answered the call or the task to do this project. As I said, in the listening audience, you have folks who they're at that point where, they want to write a book, but they just have no idea how they would go about doing that. They're clueless. When you finally came to the realization that you're going to write a book, what was your process?
Well, I was and I was dealing with a very traumatic experience, and I said to God, "What's my next step? What's my next chapter? Where do I go from here?" And he said, "Right." I said, "Type," because I've been an administrative assistant. I don't have any experience to be able to give someone any type of relationship, love, confidence, and advice. And
Go ahead, Moses.
Exactly.
Go ahead, Moses. I stammer, I stutter. No, what do you want me to tell this man?
And he said, "Write about love." And I said, "What about love?" He said, "Start at the beginning." And I said, "There is no way possible anyone is going to read this book. It's going to just sit on the shelf. It's just going to collect dust. No one's going to understand this. They're going to laugh. They're going to say, why? Why did she put pen to paper? Why did she spend money to put this into a binding? Why did she mess up that paper that could be used for something else?" And I said no. And I walked away from it. And my dreams started getting interrupted. Right. And I was like, oh my God. And I couldn't figure out what was going on, so I pinched myself to make sure I was still awake. I rubbed on my eyes, but the scene was still there. And I was like, "God, what is that?" He said, "That's the first scene you're going to write." And I said, okay, I have to get up, get dressed, get my son up, get him dressed, get him to daycare, get downtown Newark, park my car, then get on the train. I put down until I got on the train. I didn't get an answer, but the scene stayed there. So I grabbed the notebook, threw it in my pocketbook, made sure I had pens and pencils, put them in my pocketbook, did everything, sat on the train, opened the chapter.
So you actually started while you were on the train?
Yes.
So now, now how did the ideas continue to unfold the same way like you were just describing?
Yes.
Now,
either I would be a weed.
So now that you have it down, in terms of now getting it published, because that's the next step. It's one thing to get it written, it's one thing to get it typed. It's another thing now to get it published. What did you have to do then?
That took a year by itself. All the different places that I have tried to use, and she came to me, she said, look, I just wrote a book. That was really smoothly.
So, did you self-publish?
Yes.
Now, did you have to do like your own editing and all that, or did the company do that for you?
I had to do my own editing.
What was that like? So, as you were writing this, because you said part of it is based on faction.
Mm-hmm.
Did you find it, because a lot of people tell me that writing is like cathartic. In other words, you get a chance to get stuff out. And I know the journaling process definitely does that. But as you were writing this story, because I'm assuming again that one of these or more of these characters are you. Did you find it, laying it on the line, putting it in a book format?
Yes. There were a lot of times when I was writing, I was crying and praying and had to put it down and walk away, because realizing and seeing it before me made more aha moments come.
Right.
And realized this was something I got through. This was something that needed to be expressed.
Right. Because
that part is that was the part that it needed to be expressed, because that's the part I really couldn't understand. Like, God, there is no one that's going to understand this.
Right. Because, see, again, a lot of times we go through things in order to get through it and then be able to help somebody else get through it. And when folks like yourself write books on experiences like this, you actually don't know who's picked up your book now and may start reading it and say, oh, wow, I thought I was the only one going through this. And as it turns out, they're not. And again, that's like anything else. No one on the planet is the only one going through anything. Anyone who's going through anything, you can rest assured someone else has gone or is going through it. But however, we do know the trick of the enemy is to make you feel like you're the only one on the planet going through what you're going through. And I'm saying all that to say, someone may pick up Love's Misfit and start reading it and say, wow, that's me. Your character again, what's her name? I see Morgan. I see Carenza. Somebody might pick up that and say, wow, Carenza is me. I'm Carenza.
Exactly.
So you never know who you actually, and that's why, going back to Tifa Joy Will, answered the task. There's a reason God had you write the book.
There was a reason, yes.
All right, folks, if you just joined us, you're listening to The Reading Circle with your host, Marc Medley, here on WP 88.7 FM and GoBrave.org. I'm going to share some more information with you, but you know the drill by now. If you're a first-time listener, good morning, welcome. We're here every Saturday morning, 6 o'clock to 7 o'clock, and then the gospel music is played for 2 hours after. Every now and again, I'll change the format. I might have two guests, and then that way you get 2 hours of author, 1 hour of gospel music. Sometimes if I have 3 guests, you get 3 hours of author, no gospel music, and then other Saturdays you'll get 3 hours of gospel music and no author. So the formats change from time to time, but for the most part, the first hour is dedicated to my author interviews like I'm doing this morning with Tifa Joy Will, and the second 2 hours are the good news and song, which is the gospel music. So while I am sharing the information with you, get on all your sites and tell someone, if they have not done so already, to tune in to GoBrave.org.
How can I make money in the music business? Why copyright?
Should I make a CD anymore?
Trying to break into the music and entertainment biz? Wondering how the business works? Wondering how guys like Elton John and MC Hammer go bankrupt?
Why am I not making any cash?
Tune in to WP Brave New Radio every Wednesday night at 8 o'clock. Hang with the university's music business faculty hosts, me, Steve Marconi.
And me, Dave Phil. Plus, we'll have industry guests and students from the music management program.
How do I get gigs down at the shore?
Call in with your questions and hear the latest in industry happenings.
How do I get my music on iTunes?
How do I get on a tour?
It's Music Biz 101 and more every Wednesday at 8 p.m. Only on WP Brave New Radio.
Your secretary's got our checks, right?
Mine's direct deposit, I think.
Want to expand your horizons? Want to broaden your mind? Well, listen to the only show of its kind. Listen to the Reading Circle.
We bring you what's going on in the world of reading, in the world of books. Sometimes the book may be from 20, 30 years ago, because the thing about books, they are timeless, particularly if there's a good message. And then there are times when we do books that are hot off the press, that were just released.
Listen to the Reading Circle every Saturday morning from 6 a.m.
The Reading Circle with your host, Marc Medley.
Only on WP 88.7 FM.
That's right, only on WP 88.7 FM and Brave New Radio. Go brave.org. Yes, we are on FM radio as well as the internet. We're both. We're not just radio. We're not just the internet. We actually broadcast both ways. So you can catch us on FM radio or you can catch us on the internet on gobrave.org. Tifa and I met maybe 6 months ago. Yeah, it must have been 6 months ago because I spoke at this particular church twice. And I think it was like within a 6-month frame of each other. And Tifa was not there the first, because the first time I spoke at the church was like last year this time, around November. And then it was in the spring, and that's where I met Tifa. That was at Reverend Freeman's church, Union Baptist Church down in Orange, New Jersey. And at the end of the session, because I was the keynote speaker, it was a scholarship luncheon. At the end of the session, Reverend Freeman introduces Tifa as an author. She was sitting in the back and she was doing a book signing, and immediately I ran back there and said, you know what, you got to come on my show. I bought a copy of the book, said I want to have you as a guest on the show, and I didn't hear from Tifa for a while. I said I guess she wasn't interested, and finally I emailed her, and she had been so busy it just had slipped her mind, and we scheduled the date, and this is the date that we are here together. And the book is Love Misfit, and we're talking about how that came about, what it's all about, just to give you the gist, because we do want you to order. By the time we get Tifa to the last 5 minutes or so before 7 o'clock, that's whenever I give the authors an opportunity to promote, and you can let them know what websites to go to or where they can find the book or how they can get a copy of the book, or if they can see you, if they need to go to a book signing, whatever. We'll do that in about 20 minutes or so. But let's continue on in terms of putting the book together. It's out there now. You've gotten the book out, and clearly, again, because I know I met you, as I said, at a church function where you were doing a book signing. Did you have any of the church members now read the book and then give you feedback?
Yes. What I did was I made up review cards and passed them out and asked for people to send me their replies and to explain what they liked about the book, what they didn't like about the book. And to date, I think there are 5 people who have told me that they finished the book. There are a few people that are reading it here and there when the time comes, when they have that free time. But 5 people have completely told me they've read the book, and they've, they're ready to see what's going on.
Now, are there any, and I'm asking this question because I've had many Christian authors who are members of their various churches, and what will happen sometime is they may have a sex scene or some steamy scenes in there, and then the folks in the church get get their collars ruffled a little bit. Are there any scenes in there like that?
No, sir. I have a 5-year-old.
So okay. So
this is a PG book.
Okay, all right. Now, and there's nothing wrong with the sex scenes if there's any, because again, I've had that conversation with the Christian authors all the time, because all of us got here through sex, so I don't know why in the church they feel as if that's such a taboo subject. But at the same time, I'm asking the question because a lot of the feedback I would get from them was like they were either ostracized or almost kicked out their church because of the sex scene in the book. So that's why I was asking, do we have any of that in here? And if so, what was the reaction? But if you don't, then there wouldn't be any reaction, at least to that piece. But what has been the reaction in terms of the experiences now that your characters have?
The one experience is what's going to happen.
Okay.
Unfortunately, I left everyone on a
good author does that. A good author.
Actually, when the book at the end and I presented to a couple of people, it was about 400 pages.
Okay.
And listen, let's edit. Let's split it. So I went back and tried to figure out where to stop. Because if, as you're reading, it keeps going. And so it took a while to figure out where to stop. So I think I stopped at a really good place because I said to people, don't run up to me and say, really? This is what you did to me? But
that's what. Two things. A good author always has you, while you're reading the book, wanting to know what's going to happen next. And the second thing a really good author does is at the end of the book, leave the audience wanting something else. Because that's the way you guarantee, for the most part, sales of the next book. Especially if it comes almost like in a series. If it comes like a continuation or in a series, or even if it's not for that matter, but people will be looking now to see if it's going to be a series because they want to know, does this continue on? What's the rest of the saga? So that's interesting. So in terms of it, like your friend was saying, folks are not going to listen or read, rather, a 400-page book from an unknown author. How has it been in terms of, because as I said, when I met you, you were doing a book signing. How has it been in terms of promoting? Because many times the talent, who's the author, sometimes the talent and the business side, sometimes the talent don't like doing the business side, and sometimes people are reversed. They love the business side and the talent side. How has that been for you in terms of marketing the book, letting folks know that Love Misfit exists?
It's been a bit touch and go. I do have a Facebook page just for the book under Tifa Joy Will, aspiring author. There was a sneak peek on the site, and it tells you if you want to order to inbox. I'm in the process of getting everything online. I've only been selling the book myself. So I've been making sure that I blast the book on Instagram and on Twitter and on Facebook. But now these new sites have come up, so I've been doing the research on finding that. And so I just said, well, you know what? It's just time to put it out there on the web. So we're developing a web page now so that you can just go straight to the site and order it.
I know my regular listeners are probably tired of me sharing the fact that the background music is my original music. They're from I have 2 CDs that are out, and the background music that's playing is from my second CD, The Wrinkle Rag. And I share that all the time because just like authors, musicians, we face the same challenges of getting word out about our work. And social media has been a godsend. It really has, in terms of being able to blast out your work. But in terms of now getting it into, is it also in, say, the major bookstores such as a Barnes & Noble, or it used to be Borders, but Borders doesn't exist anymore. Did you get it into, were you able to get it into, say, a Barnes & Noble or a Walmart or whatever?
No, I'm actually trying to get it into the, the Hudson News,
okay,
which is in New Jersey and New York.
Right.
I have those plans in place. Unfortunately, I was hoping it would be done before the interview, but it wasn't.
Oh, that's all right, because it's coming.
Praying that God can make sure that door opens, and the website, and offering the ebook, and I just was told that I have to offer it as an audio because more people are listening to books than just reading books.
That's
so
right.
We're getting that in place also.
And see, it's interesting you would say that because most of my books now I download on my iPad on the Kindle app. Most of it. And I did not think I was going to like that. And actually, if I have a choice between the real book and the electronic book, I still will take the real book. But for convenience sake, you cannot beat the downloading in terms of the electronic or the digital version. Because I have over 200 books on my iPad. Like I said, I'm always in the middle of reading anywhere from 15 to 25 at any one time. And I have over 200 on my iPad. And you're right in terms of the audio piece, because now a lot of the streaming services, as a part of their package, they're offering audiobooks. because I subscribed to a streaming service not too long ago, mainly because they were offering audiobooks along with the football games and the music and everything else. But one of the main reasons I subscribed to it with the monthly subscription was the fact that it gave me access to a bunch of audiobooks. So that's a smart move. That's a smart move to put it in the audio format as well. At this point, and I was telling some students this yesterday or day before yesterday. It was yesterday, as a matter of fact. And I was standing in front of Shannon. She would know if she's listening. She would know. To read more. You know, turn off the TV, turn off all the electronics, the games and everything. Your child needs to read more. And one of the things I shared with her was she can do an audiobook. You know, if she doesn't want to literally sit there, at least read it from an audiobook perspective to hear how the author phrased it, to learn new words, so forth and so on. So yeah, audiobook is certainly a contender and certainly an alternative. And as we ride in our cars and walk around with our headphones on, that is something else that we can listen to. So yes, that is a viable option. Now let me ask you this question in terms of, and I ask this question to all my authors or any of my guests for that matter, because I know the feeling, again, being a musician, having produced 2 CDs and having received a shipment of them, the question I'm asking, I know the feeling of, but very few people are able to put the feeling in words, and I know what that is too. What was it like whenever you received your order of Love Misfit and you held that first finished copy in your hand that said Tifa Joy Will on the bottom?
It was a life-changing experience to actually have the book in my hand, to see that it's there. And I texted out to my family, my brothers and sisters, and my dad, and my mom and stepmom, and my uncles and aunts, and I was like, it's here, it's here, it's here. I was like, I feel like a little kid with a brand new toy.
Yeah, it for anyone, if you're not an artist or an author or something that has produced something like that, to get it, and as she said, see your name on there on a finished product. And it's not even about so much being egotistical as it is just like, wow, I can't believe, first off, that something came through me that I've now gotten in hard copy or in, product form. Because the truth of the matter is, as a writer or as a musician, especially those of us who are believers, God uses us as instruments. And through us as the instrument, you get this finished product. And it's still hard for us from the human being nature side to believe that this came out of me.
Yes.
So you said you have a 5-year-old. I would just about bet that the feeling was very similar. Now, nothing can match that of having a human being. But at the same time, whenever we do books and CDs and this and that, we are birthing something.
Yes.
Because Love Misfit came through you, out of you. So and a lot of, this is the other thing people need to understand. A lot of times, particularly those of us who are local, who are on the level that we're on, we're not necessarily doing it for the love of money. We're not looking to get rich from it, even though it would be nice if we did. But that's not the overall end goal. We said it earlier. Tifa has no clue who may be reading her book, who may be getting helped because of her book. She has no clue that someone picking up this book will read this now, and it might, who knows, Tifa, it might save somebody from committing suicide. It may save somebody from, getting a divorce. It may save somebody from breaking up their relationship. Or
when I realized it was not about me and that I had to just do what God had put before me, that's when I became obedient with it. And each turn has been an experience. And it's like, wow, this is me. And the problem with the publishing is when I saw what they were doing and what they did offer and what they didn't offer,
right,
I had to say to someone, I was like, this is baby number 2.
Yes.
This baby gave me Braxton.
Yes.
This baby had me crying all night and still going to work with super saucers under my eyes and still going forward. And, people would come up and like, well, how's everything going? How's the book? And I'm like, oh, I don't want to talk about it today. So it really took me through another life experience. I'm glad I did it.
Well, and that's why I made the comparison to whenever you had your child. It really is. There are times, my second, because it really is time for me to get back in the studio and get the third one done. But this CD is about, maybe, this is 2015. I think this one came out in either 2012 or 2013. There are still times I listen to this and can't believe that was me playing. I mean, it's like I don't remember hitting those notes. I don't remember putting that melody line together, yet it's there. I mean, I'll listen to it sometimes and say, wow, I actually played that. Have you ever picked up the book and read a chapter and said, wow, I actually wrote that?
Yes.
That's a funny experience, too.
It's so amazing. And, you know, my church family, both church families, because Union purchased a lot of books, and my church family, Bethel, purchased a lot of books. So they're seeing me every Sunday and every Thursday, and they're like, okay, so I just started it. Or they'll put the post up, look what I'm reading. I'm out on vacation. And I'm like, they're like, yay! There it is. It's out there. And so I do try to put everything out on the Tifa Joy Will aspiring author page on Facebook.
Right.
And I hadn't put a post on Instagram for a couple of weeks, and my other best friend, she came to me and said, listen, I'm going to unfollow you unless you put something up there. And so I had to get back into the swing of things. She was like, you're holding up space. Put something out there that, she was like, isn't the interview coming? Let's get this done. That's there. She's the militant one. You got to have those people in your inner circle that do everything.
I know that. Well, you're right, because that's what I was saying about the business side of it earlier. It is a team effort. Even though you're the talent, in order to move it, it's going to take more than just you. And so it's going to take word of mouth. Matter of fact, I'm going to take a picture of it and put it on my Instagram site as well, because I have it sitting right here next to me. So I'm going to take a picture and put it on my Instagram site and say you were my guest this morning. Well, we are down to that time, as I said, in terms of where I give the author the opportunity to promote, and you can say anything other than the dollar amount. So in terms of any book signings coming up, websites, where you're going to be, how to contact you, how to order the book, any of that is fair game. You can say anything except for what the dollar amount of the book is. So at this point, I turn the mic over to you, and you have the next few minutes to promote and shout out. If you want to shout Shannon out or anybody else you told to tune in, this is your opportunity to do that, because the mic is yours.
Well, I thank you so much, and I have quite a few people who are hitting my page telling me that they're listening, and that would be one of my oldest friends, Brenda Smith, my sister, Sharonda Barringer, Shannon, of course, Shannon and Joe McClinney are listening. My cousin Crystal Poston is listening, and my cousin Lisa Parker is listening. A church member, Francetta Minter, is listening. I'm forgetting some. I think I saw Juanita.
Uh-oh, I think we lost her. I think it sounded like her phone hung up. Sound like we lost her. She will call back. She was right in the middle of doing her shout-outs. I hope it was her phone and not our phone, because I tell you, we've been having phone difficulties, but I don't see anything lit. So I'm assuming she got disconnected on her end right in the middle of doing her shout-outs. But my guests this morning have been Tifa Joy Will, and as soon as she called back in, I'll let her continue her shout-outs, as well as letting you know how you can get a copy of the book. And I'm glad to hear that people are hitting up her page saying they're listening. That means they're able to get online or either listen in the area on WP 88.7 FM. I'm glad of that. I'm always glad to hear that we have listeners. If you are a new listener and you've never listened to the show before, as I said, I am here every Saturday morning interviewing authors from around the world, not just local authors, but authors from around the globe. I've had many guests from California. I've had guests from Europe. I've had guests right here from the New Jersey area, guests from Florida, guests from Chicago, guests from Atlanta. So each week, you never know who we are going to have on the show. And like I said, I've had the no profile to the high profile. It just really doesn't matter. The show's been on the air for the last 14 years, heading into its 15th year. And, it's just been an absolute blessing, the people that I've had the opportunity to meet. So I'm waiting for Tifa to call back in. I don't know. Maybe she doesn't know that she dropped. She'll have to see. So, Tifa, if you can hear me, call me back in for the next few minutes to finish up your shout outs. Tifa, are you back?
Yes.
Yeah. You were right.
Okay, so Brenda Smith, Lisa Parker, Sharonda Barringer, Francetta Minter, Crystal Poston. I don't even know who else it was. That it was somebody else that liked on it, but who listened and who took the time out to be here. My sister Dan all got up so early in the morning with us to listen. I'm so grateful. Those who do see the book, if you go to Tifa Joy Will, aspiring author on Facebook, there is the book cover and the sneak peek. And if you look at the book cover, the girl, she's faded out, but it's for a reason. You know, you want to see more of the heart than her. And that's what's covering her whole torso, is her heart. But when you take a really good look, you'll see some dark places, and those dark places is where her heart was hurt.
Well, I tell you what, I'm glad you went there, because that was one of my questions I meant to ask you, and the time had gone by before I knew it was time to do the promos. But that was one of my questions. I was like, how'd you come up on the cover? And I'm glad you just explained it, because I love covers. Like I always tell my authors, there's an author, her name is Allison Hobbs, that does some of the best covers I've ever seen. And every time I talk to Allison, I'm always like praising her on her covers. But I don't know if readers understand that everything that you do with a book sends a message.
Yes.
And the cover, if you're good, because some people, they just pick something by happenstance. I think that, but a good author does exactly what you just did. There's a reason behind the colors. There's a reason behind the fading. There's a reason behind the fact that there are no eyes on there. There's a reason behind the font that you chose. All of that connects to help the reader, one, to pick up the book, because we want you to, the first thing you got to do is pick up the book, or at least get noticed if you see it online or whatever. Speaking of which, I just put it on my Instagram site. If you go to Instagram, my Instagram is readingcircle01. If you go there, you'll see it posted there. It says author Tifa Joy Will was my guest this morning on the Reading Circle. Her book is Love Misfits. So again, you can follow me on Instagram at readingcircle01, all one word. All right, so Tifa, you have the Facebook page. They can get you there. You've done your shout-outs. I've had a blast speaking with you this morning. I told Shannon, I said, Shannon, tell Tifa it's going to be very conversational. All we do is talk. No need to be nervous. So hopefully you were comfortable and had some fun doing it. And folks, listening audience, go out there and get the book, Love Misfit. Tifa, T-I-F-A, Joy, J-O-Y, Will, W-I-L-L. And she's not just an aspiring author, she is an author. So, Tifa, any last comments?
I'm just grateful for the opportunity, and I believe that this is going to continue to go forward, that book 2 will be out soon.
Oh, then you come back.
Audio.
So when you get book 2 done, you come back on again. We'll talk about book 2.
Absolutely. That would be wonderful. Thank you.
You are welcome. All of my guests always have an open invite to come back. And so once you do something new, some more work, come on back on. We'll talk about that.
Definitely.
All right. All right. Well, I tell you what, you have a wonderfully blessed day. I do record it, but I always put the disclaimer on it because I never know what the equipment is going to do. That's why I tell folks, listen to it live, because the recording, sometimes it might have gaps in it, or either there's, whenever the thing starts buffering or whatever, it might have gaps in it. So I always listen to it live. But if everything worked the way it should, I will have it recorded. It will come up on YouTube. I will send the link to you, but it will fall under my Reading Circle YouTube page where all my interviews are. They'll be able to hear it again. For those who did not want to rise early, they can hear it on the archive, which is on YouTube. Again, you can follow me on Instagram. On Facebook, you can follow me by name, Marc Medley, M-A-R-C-M-E-D-L-E-Y. On Instagram is Reading Circle 01. I'm trying to think of all the other. On Twitter, there's Reading Circle 01. Everything is tied to the show. If you Google the Reading Circle, I've come up in all kinds of social media. So you can feel free to follow me there. And again, as I said, if all the recording equipment work correctly, I'll be sending you a copy sometime before the weekend is out.
I thank you so much.
All right. Have a wonderfully blessed day, and I'll be in touch.
Thank you. Have a happy holiday.
Thank you. You too.
Bye-bye.
Take care now.